Welcome back to Shib Planet. Shiba Inu has released the official documentation for Shibarium, so today we're going to bury our heads into it and highlight some of the most anticipated details. And a lot of it gets quite technical, and so we're not going to spend too much time on the technical details, especially the parts for developers. The actual document was released via Twitter earlier today, and it's essentially a web page which gives a lot of information which is broken down into various subheadings like an overview, details about the Shibarium bridge, technical details about staking, validators and delegators, and also some foundational information about blockchains in general. But probably the bit most retail holders are going to be interested in is the section about burns. And yes, we finally have details about the burn mechanism, including the burn percentage and how the new burn portal is going to work. It's finally nice to get some clarity on burn percentages rather than just guessing like we've been doing on this channel. And I'm quite interested to do an updated burn calculation, but for it to be accurate, I'm going to need some transactional data. So hopefully I'll be able to do that over the next few days or so. So naturally, I'm going to spend most of my initial review on the burn part. And here's the initial Twitter announcement which we got from the official SHIB token. They say, "Hi SHIB Army, we are happy to announce that Shibarium's testnet is running again. You can now access the docs to learn about how to set up your equipment and understand how Shibarium works. You will find the docs here," and that is the link. And this is it here. It's docs.shibariumtech.com, and it pretty much summarizes the documentation into two sections. There's a big welcome to Shibarium section, which details everything about from an overview to details about smart contracts, how to install your MetaMask, and a lot of other details for which are typically good for developers. Then there's also a section about the burns, which we're going to cover just now, and then that foundational information I was telling you about is just pretty much in this section. We're primarily going to be talking about burns in today's review, and we'll just give a high-level overview of the intro, which is pretty good. And so without further ado, let's jump straight to the burn section. Alright, it talks about burns. The base fee, which is also the gas fee, is locked on a contract on Shibarium when a user makes a transaction, and 70% of that base fee is going to be burnt, and then 30% is actually set aside to maintain the network. It goes directly to the validators. And the document says that once a threshold of $2,500 worth of bone has accumulated in the burn contract, users can initiate the burn process. And this is pretty much where the burn portal is going to take part. And I believe it says that pretty much anyone can do it as soon as it reaches the threshold. Anyone on whenever the burn portal is, wherever it is, should be able to, execute the transaction there and burn $25,000 whenever that threshold is reached. It goes on to say that accumulated bone is sent to Ethereum's L1, and then it's swapped for SHIB and then burned. And so the documentation says that Shibarium's burn mechanism effectively reduces the total supply of Shiba Inu Token, helping it to prevent inflation whilst also maintaining the network's stability. And then there's a section which explains the difference between a base fee and a priority fee. A base fee on the Shibarium network is basically the minimum amount a transaction must pay to be considered valid, and it fluctuates with network congestion, pretty much just like Ethereum. But obviously at a much lower cost, and we'll talk about the cost a bit later. And then it says it's burned instead of being paid to the block producer. And the priority fee is the amount a transaction pays to the block producer when included in a block, and this incentivizes inclusion of transactions with higher priority fees. So those of you who already transact with wallets on Ethereum, you're pretty much familiar with priority fees, because those are the ones which tend to execute your transactions a lot faster. And the documentation says that the distinction between a base fee and a priority fee helps maintain security on the blockchain whilst preventing block producers from profiting off transaction fees. And then it closes out the burn section by giving a hypothetical burn example. It says that assume that the current base fee is X bone. You can put whatever amount you want there. And a priority fee is Y bone. And it says the validator receives Y bone, which is the priority fee, as a reward for including the transaction. And X bone, which is the base fee, is not paid to the validator in this case. Instead, it is converted to SHIB and burnt. And this pretty much reduces the Shiba Inu token supply. And about this, the document says that the Shibarium burn mechanism is not only reduces the supply of SHIB, but it also disincentivizes miners or validators from artificially increasing the base fee for personal gain, because this can tend to happen on some blockchains. However, the structure may be subject to changes as test environments provide more accurate scenarios. So that's pretty much the purpose of the beta. We will be getting data to pretty much assess and see what we can do from there. And so now let me try and summarize the wording from the introduction. Basically, it states that the Shibarium blockchain was proposed by Ryoshi, and it aims to achieve true decentralization through low-cost blockchain solution, and it's designed to reduce transaction fees for the Shiba Inu ecosystem. It offers low fees for services, for games, for applications to be built on. And the goal turnaround time for transactions is seconds for less than pennies, according to Satoshi. And the Shibarium address challenges, issues which are faced by Ethereum, as we know. And it talks that the document goes on to talk that Shibarium is based on Ethereum, as in it's a Ethereum-based blockchain, and it allows users to create programmable tokens and smart contracts, decentralized nodes which provide security for the blockchain, and it has a section called Shibarium, which is a blockchain for people, and it offers faster transaction speeds and secure and transparent creation and exchange of digital assets, and it serves as a base for decentralized applications within the Shiba Inu community. And then it talks about the benefits of Shibarium, and it highlights them into 5 different categories of security, transparency, efficiency, cost-effective, and decentralization. Under security, it says that Shibarium is highly secure and a tamper-proof platform. It employs a proof-of-stake algorithm with bone tokens from the Shiba Inu ecosystem, and validators and network of nodes, they ensure security. And it has a transparency which allows users to track all transactions and activities, and we do know that it's fast and efficient, just as we've been talking about, and it's decentralized, so there's no single controlling entity maintained by a network of computers. And the next section describes Shibarium's key features, and I'll start from the bottom, which a lot of people will be interested in. Talking about the cost, many transactions, according to the documentation, will be below 1 cent, and it's a proof of stake system which reduces transaction costs, and it's capable of approximately 10,000 times lower cost per transaction than Ethereum, which is really good, and this is going to be really good in the long run. And regarding flexibility and simplicity, it's fully EVM compatible, enabling easy deployment of smart contracts, simplified process for building dApps on the blockchain, and straightforward transfer of tokens between Shibarium and Ethereum. And it's also highly scalable, and it's designed to scale and adjust to various environments. It's compatible with major ERC standards, and it has validator checkpoints to submit whenever transactions and blocks are complete to Ethereum for security. And as we know that it's a fast blockchain. That's another key feature. And we didn't get any details about throughput or TPS, but I suppose that's pretty much what's going to come from this testing phase which we're in. And if you're new to blockchains, one thing you probably won't realize is that although layer 2s are very, very fast, when you're actually depositing from a layer 1 to a layer 2, that's the only bit which can take quite a while, according to, and there are 2 mechanisms which are used in Shibarium. You can use the proof of stake bridge or the plasma bridge. On the proof of stake bridge, to deposit Ethereum from Ethereum to Shibarium, it can take about 22 minutes, and then once you're on Shibarium, obviously it becomes super fast because it's a separate blockchain technically. And same for the plasma bridge. And when you're withdrawing your tokens from Shibarium back to Ethereum, at the first checkpoint, it can take anywhere from 30 minutes to 6 hours. And this is pretty much consistent with other layer 2s as well. And then the rest of the overview part of the document states that there are some things called Shibarium proof of stake chain services. There's going to be a Shibarium wallet where people can send and receive and store assets, which is really cool. There's a Shibarium bridge, as we know, which is a cross-network, for withdrawals and deposits. And there's a Shibarium staking where people can earn rewards for staking. There's also the Ethereum bridge, which, and by now you guys should know that a bridge is, the platform which you can transact between two separate blockchains. In this case, Ethereum and Shibarium. And we spoke already that there's two mechanisms for plasma, one called plasma bridges, and the other one called proof of stake bridges. And I think that's a good high-level overview of the documentation. The bulk of it is actually quite technical, especially in the middle over here, but I think it's still suitable for developers who are going to be building on it. So, but it's also useful for if you ever want to test the network for yourself, because there's even a section over here which helps you connect to the PuppyNet by connecting, the various contract details onto your MetaMask wallet, and also get some test tokens. It's even got a very lengthy step-by-step process, most of which a lot of you already know, especially if you already have a MetaMask account. And I'll leave a link to the full documentation for you guys to read. And so, what are my thoughts? I'm actually very satisfied that as a community we even got to this stage. We have our very own blockchain to build on, and in the grand scheme of things, the costs are extremely low at 1 cent, at least at face value. And that might go up depending on network activity and types of contract executions. For example, transfers would be super cheap, probably less than a cent, and things like minting NFTs would probably be a bit more because they require a lot more computational power. But you also have to remember, crypto is supposed to be a solution against the traditional finance system, and at the moment it may be decentralized and peer-to-peer, but it's not as cheap, and it's not as cheap as centralized finance at the moment, especially on Ethereum. Low costs, in my opinion, would attract more adoption. And remember, Shibarium is supposed to be a blockchain for in real life businesses, and also for DeFi and blockchain gaming. And all of these have very high transaction volumes. It's often just too expensive to play blockchain games, especially if they're going to be built directly on Ethereum. So that's why layer 2s are the way to go, even after Ethereum 2.0 comes out. And yes, while we do have burns now, some people will criticize them for being too low. And I totally understand that, because if transactions are going to be a cent and burns are only triggered at 25k, that might be an issue for some people. But that's just the price that you have to pay if you want something which is going to be fast enough to attract development. Imagine if Ethereum started off at its 2.0 version. In my opinion, adoption would have been through the roof by now. But now they have to do over 5 years of upgrading just to cope with the current demand. And that's how I see Shibarium. Shibarium is built, with its best version first. It's built for scalability, so when adoption comes and the bull run starts, it's going to be a no-brainer to use layer 2s like Shibarium. And if you like the way I cover the Shiba Inu ecosystem, the best way you can continue to support this channel is by simply hitting the like button and also leaving a comment. Those two actions will help share quality Shiba Inu content with the community. If you guys need to contact me for anything, if you know of a Shibarium project, a genuine Shibarium project, I'm covering those over the next month or so, at least even until well after the Shibarium mainnet launches. Just so we can get some more exposure to really good projects out there. So let me know in the comment section. Actually, the best way to contact me is via Twitter. So if you can Twitter DM me, I usually respond to those a lot faster. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. This is Ace. Peace.